Welcome. I am Christina Wheeler. I'm based out of the United States, so I just flew in, got in yesterday, so I'm a little jet lagged today. But I am a recent empty nester. Actually, my daughter is in her second year of college. So she's decided, she's very good at technology, but she decided that I work too much. So she said she decided she doesn't want to have anything to do with IT, so she's going to become a special education teacher, which is really, really cool. So anyways, I am an empty nester, and I ended up getting another dog recently, so now I have two dogs. I had Hank. This is Hank. This is my wonderful yellow lab, and then I got Hank a buddy. How many people are dog lovers? If you ever go into Mac McDermott's sessions, he's a dog lover as well. And you might see Hank previewing in some of his demos. I am a technical trainer for critical path training, as well as an IT consultant, and of course, a global speaker. And Paul, do you want to be my, and Ant, do you guys want to be my time check? You guys give me a heads up. So I have, what, an hour? Okay. I had to cut down my presentation quite a bit. There is my email address, and I have co-authored two books. One of them, SharePoint 2013 Inside Out, and the SharePoint 2010 Field Guide. And unfortunately, the books are really thick, so it was very hard for me to travel with. But I do have a voucher that I can give away, and then I have one voucher for my book, and then I have some vouchers for Penny's Coventry's books. Who's working with business intelligence right now? Okay. On-prem business BI? Office 365 BI? Okay. So keep in mind, this is an information worker session, so it's not dev focused. We're going to look at it from an information worker perspective. I actually started this as a dev session and then realized that my target audience. But based on, since I have an hour, basically what I want to do is I'm going to cover kind of an overview. Who doesn't know what business intelligence is? Fantastic, I can skip this slide. So, I'm assuming you guys understand the advantages then of business intelligence. Who in here is not using BI yet? Okay, got a couple. All right, so some of the advantages for those of you that are new to BI. A lot of the advantages include having fact-based decisions. I've had a lot of customers that had built reports and other things manually, and when they were building these reports and so forth, it was very manual process, and the data would be incorrect, and they would have a lot of issues. So we ended up automating the features, getting that and getting the data into SQL Server and using SharePoint and so forth to use the BI features, so we can actually build these self-service or on-demand reports, and everything was accurate. But with the fact-based decisions, you get to see current detailed information from all aspects of your business. And the advantage of BI is you can pull in different types of data. Now, from my background perspective, I came from a strong BI background. I did data warehousing, I did crystal reports, I did all that stuff. I was a SQL DBA. I was a .NET developer. I was an old school ASP, PHP, ASP. Then I got into .NET, did SQL Server and all that stuff. And then once I got thrown into SharePoint. But we'll be honest, in the very beginning, I couldn't stand the product. But I stuck with it, and I'm glad I did. Now, you see we have this whole shift, right, going from on-prem to Office 365. I have a lot of experience with BI on-prem. I'm still new to, let's face it, Power BI is new. A lot of the Office 365 features is new. So all of us that are in the industry, including all the experts, we're still learning the stuff that is being implemented in Office 365. So what I'm going to do in this session is do my best to show you what I know. But keep in mind, I'm still learning, because with Office 365, you get new features that get released, right? So it's important to stay up to date. But I might go in and demo something, which I've done before, and then I can go the following month or months later, go demo and realize that things have moved around or changed. So very common. But from a BI perspective, I really love the business intelligence features. I got out of BI for a while just because I was frustrated with the integration. I was frustrated with Performance Point. I was frustrated. I just had a lot of frustrations with a lot of the limitations. Then when 2013 came out, I got back involved with BI. I was very happy. Co-wrote the business intelligence course with Ted Pattison for BI. Right now that's focused on-prem, but we're changing it to also be Office 365. And when I wrote that course, that's when I really became passionate again about business intelligence because of the features and the enhancements that now have been included with SharePoint. So getting back to the advantages, you also have improved sales and negotiations. Being able to see the different sales trends and different product additions, improvements. It depends on what kind of data you have, right? But there's all aspects of your business that you can analyze. One of the biggest ones is eliminating waste. A prime example is, let's see if I say this right, Toyota, right? Toyota. Someone just asked me today, how are you pronouncing that? Toyota. So Toyota was double paying their shippers, $812,000 US dollars. And they were overpaying their shippers, and until they implemented a BI system, they weren't aware. I had Nortel Networks that was overpaying AT&T. And when I implemented a BI solution for them, they were able to figure out where the gaps were and the issues were and that they were double paying. So there's so that's when a lot of customers and companies start implementing BI, they start realizing all these different financial gaps that they wouldn't have noticed before. Or you can take, I think it was Tesco that I was given as an example, where Tesco reported 250 pounds, I think that's what I was told, 250 million or something like million pounds, right? Was that a loss or was that? They overestimated that profit by that much. Oh, that's right, overestimating the profit. Now the question is, was that on purpose? Was that on accident? If they had implemented BI, right, that wouldn't have happened. So maybe some companies don't want to implement BI, but yes. So that would be an example there. Identifying opportunities, being able to compare strengths and weaknesses against competitors, identifying trends. One of the big things is, who are your most profitable customers that you're trying to identify? And the other thing is trying to discover dissatisfied customers before it starts hitting your sale, your bottom line. So there's a lot of things that you can analyze. Now, business intelligence in Office 365, I'm seeing this whole transformation, and I'll be honest again, I was involved in Office 365 projects. I got off of it for a year, and it was in the very beginning when BPOS was upgraded to Office 365, and I was very frustrated at the time because I was working with enterprise customers that wanted to, get into Office 365, and we were trying to set up hybrid, and there was just a lot of things that were issues at the time. So I got off of it for a year. I did because I wanted to keep my sanity. Then now I'm back in it, and I'm actually very impressed, very proud of the Office 365 team, the things that they've been improving on and putting together. Now the Power BI stuff I'm absolutely falling in love with. And so that's what we'll talk about. But so from the business intelligence perspective, you have Excel with Power Pivot and Power View and different things that you can integrate, bringing in your data and creating data models and pulling this information in. Then also uploading this into SharePoint. Now SharePoint can be both on-prem and it can also be in Office 365. Now there will be differences. I am going to be doing a session tomorrow as well that's going to cover Power Pivot and Power View. And I'm going to focus on the, also on-prem and Office 365 as well. So you've got the ability to share your workbooks and interact with the workbooks. But what happens is if you're on-prem, then you don't have the Power BI stuff in on-prem. But you also have a lot of, with the on-prem stuff, you have your document libraries, you have your dashboards, you have different things that you can work with, and you have full control over the settings, such as the workbook size. Now in Office 365, if I go and upload a document into my document library, and I have a data model in there, and then I try to click on that to view it through Excel services, what's happened is I'm going to reach my limit, which I did, which was 10 megs. But what will happen is I'm going to demonstrate, you're going to put your workbooks in SharePoint, but then you're going to access the Power BI to interact with your data, to work with the dashboards, and to basically work with the BI features inside of that. Now, Power BI is an additional license. It has gone down, which I've noticed, and it's gone down where I just changed my plan because I don't know how it is here in the UK, but I know in the US, if I have a cell phone plan, a mobile plan, they don't tell me if the plan's gotten cheaper. They don't change your plan if it's gotten cheaper, drop the price. I have to keep up to date with it. And when I do, I say, oh, guess what? My plan now is $20, $30 cheaper. So I have to kind of re-sign, make changes to my account to get that. Power BI and Office 365 licensing is the same. I realized I was paying $20 for my Power BI add-in, but I realized the add-in is now $9.99 in US dollars. So I made a change. I basically removed that add-in and then re-added it. And when I did, I got the lower price. So I just want to make you aware of that. When you're kind of adding your add-ons, you might want to keep up to date with that because you could be overpaying. Okay, so I do have a Power BI license. I also have an enterprise license. You still have BI features that you'll have. If you don't have a Power BI license, you can still use, if you're on enterprise, E3, E4, I don't know how far down, if it goes E1, E2, I think it's just E3 and E4. If you have the enterprise license, you will still be able to create the Business Intelligence Center site. The problem is, though, online, you'll be limited to your workbook size. So until you decide to actually have the additional license, you will have some limitations. Okay, on-prem you won't, like I said, but in Office 365 you will. Anybody in here from Microsoft? Okay, I hate to say it. It's a little bit of a push because it's, let's face it, companies are in business to make money, including Microsoft. So you have these restrictions and limitations because if you're 100% in the cloud and you have your stuff, you have your documents in SharePoint and you want to work with the BI stuff and Excel services, they don't give you the option to set that workbook size because they're kind of forcing you to say, okay, we're going to have Power BI. So yes, we're going to have to spend more money and have this license. I hate to say it, but that's the way it is. But I'm very impressed with it. Okay, from the BI perspective, we've got Power Query. How many people have been working with Power Query? Okay. You have Power Query, which was formerly called Data Explorer. You have Power Maps. Now, I've done a lot of work with the Power. You've got Power View, the mapping in Power View, and then you have Power Map, which is an additional add-in. And I will say, I had to make a change to my Excel today. I had Power Map installed. If I go to Options, go to my add-ins, go to COM add-ins. Here's where you're going to have your Power Map, Power Query, Power View. I did install a Power Query add-in, which I have a link on my slides. I had a problem where when I go to click on Insert, my bad, there's two different Power Maps. You're going to see Power Map for Excel and then Microsoft Power Map. Power Map for Excel is your Power View mapping. So then there's the additional Power Map. I think it's beta right now or preview. The Power Map, the 3D Power Map is another install. So you're going to have two different add-ins in there, but the Power Map one isn't there by default. So that is something you're going to want to download and install if you want to do the Power Maps. But and the Power Maps are 3D maps. And I'm losing my mouse. Okay. So what you have is you have the Power Query. That is an add-in. The Power Map, which is an add-in. Actually, all of these are add-ins. How many people are in Office 2010 still? Okay, so everybody on 2013? Okay. So in 2013, you have these add-ons. You have Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View automatically. They just may not be enabled by default, but they are installed. But of course, the Power Query and Power Map are additional downloads. The Power Query is a standalone reporting tool, which I think is very cool. Now, I can use Power Query, it's not just an Office 365 thing. Power Query is an add-on that you can just use with Excel in general, right? But it can also integrate with Office 365. So I did provide, I created a tiny URL download for you on my slides, and I apologize, you guys will get my slides. I didn't get them out quick enough. So I created a link to the download so you can install that add-in. And when it's installed, I'll go ahead and close Excel. And it's weird being slanted. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and open Excel. And when I open Excel, my Power Query is already loaded. So I have my Power Query. I'm going to go ahead and sign out. Actually, I won't sign out. Let's go back. So, okay. So right now, I've launched Excel. I'm on my Power Query tab. When I'm on my Power Query tab, this is all the stuff I can do right now. I'm not worrying about anything that's in Office 365. If I want to integrate with Power BI in Office 365, you do have your Power BI section here in the ribbon. I'm going to go click to sign in. And when I sign in, it just gives you, the information about it. Then I'm going to go sign in with my account. Then once I'm signed in, it's going to allow me to access any of my data catalog queries, which in this case I have 0. But getting back to Power Query. So Power Query, go back to my slides, no? I did. Jeez. What a complete accident. Mouse. Thank you for catching that. I closed that. Okay, so let's go here, sessions. Okay, so getting back to Power Query. So you have the different options in the ribbon, and then you can build your query. I'm going to do an example of pulling, let's say you were asked to, I'm going to use tennis as an example, the Wimbledon. So they wanted me to build some reports on the winners. And I don't have time to go pull all this information, but then I realized that Wikipedia, hold on. Okay. So Wikipedia, let me go back to it. Where is it? Give me a second. Okay, there's a list of Wimbledon winners here. So here's a list of Wimbledon gentlemen's singles champions. What you can do with Power Query is you can extract from all different types of data sources. I can actually screen scrape, or basically scrape data from websites that have tables. In this case, you see that I have Wikipedia. I have a list of the winners here, and it's in a table. So I can pull this information in. When I go into Power Query, here's my options here. I have from web, from file, database, Azure. I'm not doing a lot with Azure yet, so I don't really have any Azure demos. Then if I go from other sources, you see I have a lot of different options here. Common ones to use are SharePoint lists, Active Directory, Exchange, Salesforce, also Yammer. I actually started on a really cool demo pulling Yammer feeds, or pulling the Yammer stuff through, but I was going to demonstrate the SharePoint Evolution Yammer feed, which Steve made me a network admin, but I realized he didn't have Enterprise active yet, so I couldn't pull it. But there's ways to pull Yammer as well. Now, they don't have an option here to do that, so there's another way to go about it where I would go from the web. So we can decide what type of sources we want to pull through here. Well, I'm going to go from web. When I go from web, I'm going to go to my list of, I'm going to take the URL from my Wikipedia site. Then I'm going to go back in here, put in the URL. Now, this is an anonymous access link, but I might want to access other types of websites, maybe even websites that your company's running or things like that, something that's authenticated, or from going to another SharePoint site. I can also pull from on-prem. If I want it on-prem, there are some additional steps that you have to do to be able to do that, an install that you have to put on your on-prem environment. But if I wanted to pull from MySQL on-prem, you can do that as well. So since a lot of you are hybrid, that's probably something you might want to do. But I'm just going to do a simple demonstration. So I'm going to pull from the web. And when I pull from the web, it's going to detect any of the table data that I have available to me. So I click on table 0, and that's not the one I want. Then here's the amateurs information, but I actually want to pull information from the gentleman of the open. So I click on this one, and now I have my open data. And this is all, right, just data that's out there on Wikipedia. So I can pull this through, pull this in, I'm going to click load. And when I click load, now there's my data that I can start working with. All right. Then I can, here's my workbook query. I can go ahead and click on, right-click edit. And when I right-click edit, now you see here's where I can work on the transformation of my data. Maybe I want to do some group bys. I'm going to change the data type on this one. So this data type here is type text, but I'm going to go ahead and change this to a whole number. Wait, wrong one. Messed up there. There's no undoing here, by the way. Not in this window. I'll change that back to there. But you can make different changes. I've got transfer options here as well. Here it is, data type. So I've got the transformation options that I can do, different formatting things I can do and change. And then when I make changes, I can close and load. So this is just having my data loaded. Now I'm going to take that further, but right now let's go ahead and talk about some other options you have. You also have the Power Map, which is the 3D visualization tool. Now I'm new to Power Map because I really have been comfortable and fine with working with 2D maps, but there may be things that you want to actually build with the 3D map. So I have a demonstration of that. You are, with the map data, you're supposed to be able to plot more than 1 million rows of data. I haven't tested that. I don't know how the performance is on that, but I was told it can be done. Then you have, but the advantage of having the Power Map and the 3D mapping, though, is you can build a story. So I can build a story where you're basically creating a videos, or you can build a story of your data, and you're basically creating different videos of the data as you're exploring it, and it's basically creating the recordings, and then you have this whole thing so that the users can interact with that, which is what I'll show you at the beginning of that. Then you have Power Pivot. I love Power Pivot. I think Power Pivot is very powerful. I've been working with Power Pivot on-prem, and I'm happy that you can do it in Office 365 as well. Now, in older versions of business intelligence, all your data had to be in cubes. It was multi-dimensional data. Then when SharePoint 2013 came out, they now support tabular models, so tabular data. So you don't have to be multi-dimensional. You do not have to have data cubes. So that's one of the advantages. Now, most times, the only reason why you would probably want to do multi-dimensional is if you cannot, there's calculations, relationships, KPIs, different things you can build in Power Pivot. You can build all sorts of calculations in Power Pivot. Now, if you need a lot more complex calculations, then that's when you might have to build, go multi-dimensional and actually build a cube. But other than that, you should be fine to actually use tabular moving forward. So what you can do is you can build your data models. And what I've done before, I've done a lot of pulling data from SQL, some from SharePoint, some from text files, integrate that in and create one, have that within my data model. So you can just pull the different data from the different sources and then start building your charts on top of that. So those are the things that you can do. How many people use Power View? Okay. Power View, I think, is another great tool. In on-prem Power View, it's your visualization for your data. So in Power Pivot, you can create your charts and different graphs and things like that. But you can take it a step further with Power View, which I'm going to demonstrate all of that. So with the Power View, you can also have ad hoc reporting that you can build as well. And then you get a nice WYSIWYG design. So you have a WYSIWYG design that you can use to create your reports. And in Excel, I have my Power Query. Then if I go to Power Pivot, I've got my options for my Power Pivot. If I click on the Insert tab, here's where I have my options for Power View and Map. I can click on Power View, and it'll create a new sheet, a Power View sheet that I can interact with. Now I have other workbooks as well. Keep losing my mouse. missing that one. So this is on another computer. I started on another computer. So I have some other workbooks that have data models in it where I've created the Power View sheets on that. But in here, so I can go ahead and create that. And if I click on the Power View sheet, that's going to create my new tab to give me my visual designer. Now you can do this on-prem, and when you do this on-prem, and if you publish it to SharePoint, it's going to use Silverlight. And then in Office 365, it's going to use HTML5. And you'll be able to switch it as well, which I'll demonstrate. But getting back to here, so with the Power View, you can build your interactive graphs. Now in here, I've got different tabs. I've got Power View, sector growth, and div payout. I might have things where I have a workbook that's all Power Pivot charts and things like that, and Power Pivot tables, and then have another tab that actually has graphical interfaces in it. The nice thing I like too in 2013 is this stuff will be rendered through the browser. It can render through the browser, and the user can interact with the Power View fields now in 2013. You couldn't do that before in the older versions. So you're able to build the different reports and have the user interact with it live, have their on-demand reporting that they can do. Okay. So I'm going to open up this other one here. And in this sheet, this is where I started to build a query. And Power View's got to load. Okay. So I'm opening this one because I have stuff working, but I'm going to do it on the fly as well. Just in case I mess up, at least have a tab that works, right? Because I only have an hour or less now. So I'm going to go ahead and click on the Insert tab and click Power View. I'm going to create a Power View sheet. And when I create a Power View sheet, it's going to give me my options here of my data. It automatically puts a table here for you. But I might decide I want to change it to something else, or let's see here. I can completely delete that. And then click on the Insert. Nope, go back to, sorry, Power View. So go back in the Power View. Sorry. And then or click here on my table and then click on Map. And when I click on Map, it's going to convert it to a map, but right now it's telling me too many runner-up values. Well, I don't want runner-up. I'm going to uncheck runner-up, uncheck year, uncheck country 1, and uncheck champion. Because right now, I actually want to show the countries in this map. And this is my 2D map right now. And so what I'm going to end up doing is creating what I have here. So in the map, you're going to drag your different options. So I've got country and champion. My locations, I'm going to drag country. And so when I drag country to my locations, you'll see that my map updates. And then maybe I want to know the size. So I'm going to drag the champion down by size. So then what I can do is click on or hover over the bubble, and then you'll see we have 15 champions in the US. We've got 7 in Sweden. Right? I can hover over. I have 6 in Australia. Okay, so I'm starting to build my map. Then what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and add a table down here. So I'll click away from the map. So I'll just click in the canvas area. Say I want to know who the champion is. Of course, it just puts it up to the right. So you kind of have to do this whole drag and drop with Power View. So we have the champion, and then maybe I want to show the runner-up. What is their final score? And then I'm going to have to drag this over. So then you'll notice if I click on each country or bubble for the different countries, you're going to see that table down below update. Now it's showing the champion, and we have multiple runners up. So you'll see the let's uncheck the runners up. Let's go here. If I take off runners up, it's showing 3. Oh, I'm sorry, because that's by year. Let's do the year. So we go by year, go back to the country. So 1989, 1985, and 1986, Boris Becker has won. Then I can decide to add filters. I mean, you're just building your different charts, you're building your tables and all that stuff so you can interact with it, right? Okay, so now let's say I decide I want to actually map this out. So I can go back on my Insert tab, and instead of being in Power View and doing a map, I'm actually going to click on the map here. So when I click on the map, I already started a tour. Here's a tour that I started, and you'll see instead of, this resolution's throwing me off, but so I've got a tour that I'm starting. Let me delete this. You can add scenes, you can play tours. So what you can do is build this whole experience with this map, and then add the different scenes, create video, capture screens, do all these different types of story building that you can have presented on your site. So when the user goes and interacts, they can just interact with this 3D map. Has anybody done anything with the 3D maps yet? Okay. What have you used it primarily for? What type of data? Good. That was the demo I was trying to build for today, but I couldn't get my data exported. So a lot of people are using, most companies are moving to Yammer now. And you're going to want to do a lot of analysis on Yammer. That's been one of the requests. I just taught a class for Delta Airlines, and that was the biggest thing they asked, is how can we analyze this data in Yammer? Is there anything built into Yammer? No, but I can leverage the BI features here with SharePoint and then build reports and do different analytics of Yammer. So they have the Yammer API that you can use. They have the ability to export the data and be able to build your analytics. So once I get Steve to actually activate the enterprise, I want to create the demo, and I'm going to record it. Okay, so I can create a scene, and you see right now I just have, if I go to my layer options, let's go here. You have different layer properties and options that you can set. Then I clicked here on my field list, and when I clicked on my field list, this is where I can decide what type of information I want to show. So as soon as I change it to runners up, now you see I'm getting, my pies are updating. If I uncheck runner up, it's going to change, and so maybe I'm just doing the champion count. And so now I just clicked on a slice, and when I clicked on, I see the USA, I see, I've got the champion count on there, and it's saying who the runner-up is. Maybe I want to, please clear one of them, see, let's clear that. Let's do runner-up back again. So you see, I'm only able to really do 2. Let's click on there. So now I have the score and the final, right? So you just start to build that information. And let me close this. This is using Bing Maps. So when you first launch this, or even when you first launched your Power Maps for, Slant. When you launch if you start with your mapping in Power View, or you start with this mapping, well, especially, I already launched it with Power View, and when I launched Power View, I had to enable the connection, because it's going to do a data connection to Bing, because it has to get the geolocations in order to do the mapping. Now, I've had customers ask, can we use Google? No, this is all built with Bing. Maybe, I don't know if any of you guys have figured out a way to use other mapping options, but this is built with Bing. And Bing is, maybe you guys heard this before. Do you know what Bing stands for? Because it's not Google. I don't know if it's real, but it makes sense. Okay, so there I have, so here, you can just build, like I said, I haven't done a lot with this actual 3D mapping. I've done a lot more with 2D mapping. But if I want to close it, I'm going to go ahead and close. And when I go close, I'm back here to my, I don't know why I have 2 country columns, so I need to remove one of these. Okay. All right, so getting back, now this is just working with Excel. Then let's say, okay, I want to have this information into SharePoint. Close all these. So I'm in my Office 365 tenant. And in my Office 365 tenant, I did create a BI Center site collection. I have a BI Center site collection, which my dashboard homepage is just the out-of-the-box dashboard. And what I started to do was upload documents into my documents library. Now, this is what your BI Center site would look like on-prem, with the exception of the Office 365 stuff. But the template is the same. If I go to my site contents, you're going to have data connections library, dashboards. You will see a different option here that you don't have on-prem, though, which is Power BI, if you have the license and you have it activated for the user that is logged in. So what I do is I'll go to my documents library, and in here I have 3 documents uploaded. I can go ahead and upload some more, which it's on my other desktop. BI. So here I'm uploading another file. And if I go click on this file right now, I think I should exceed. No, this one didn't exceed. So this is a wingtip sales model. This is a demo that we have for our BI course. But in here, I've got different types of tabs. I have tabs that have my Power View. I have tabs that have pivot table charts. Now, I clicked on sales revenue by product, and when I clicked on sales revenue by product, I don't want that one. Let's do sales by zip code. You see this is all rendering through the browser. And you're going to see I have a little icon here. This icon is try the new HTML5 version of Power View. Okay, good. I'll click on that. And when I click on that, then it's going to give me the HTML5. So it still gives you the option of using Silverlight right now. That may change. You may not have that as an option anymore. So Silverlight is not dead yet. Say what? Just.
So Silverlight is the default, and if it is, can you turn off the limits browser?
That's a good question. Anybody know that answer? I'll have to look into that. Yeah.
Linux used to have minimize
It actually should default to HTML5, but I was playing around with it, and when I was playing around with it, I swapped it, so it just may have taken the latest that I did. Well, keep in mind, a lot of this is still kind of beta, right? Take me back. No, it wouldn't default to it. No, it wouldn't. It would default to Silverlight. So I need to see if there's an option. There may not be an option yet, like I said, because a lot of this is still a work in progress on the, with the development team. But on here, like if I click on it, of course, then it takes me to the HTML5. You don't have that as an option on-prem. On-prem, it's only Silverlight. So far, but maybe there was a release that, nope, you don't have an option? Okay, good. Let me click on sales, revenue, age demographic. It's not the fastest thing, by the way. And you can tell when they're still in beta because you've got this smiley faces with send feedback, right? That's when you know we're in preview and development stages. All right, let's go on this one. So I have a sales revenue by pie chart. And in this case, I'm just using Power View. And I have, based on data that I have, I also have different charts, which is, I need to zoom in. See that? I want this to zoom. Not be able to zoom in. But this is a pivot chart that I have created. So all this right now, this is fine. I didn't exceed the limit. But let me go back. And let's click on Dallas Utility Demo. Now I'm exceeding the 10 megabytes. So in order for me to work with this, I either have to open an Excel, or I actually can go and no, don't close the tab. So I reached my limit on this one. This is demo data for Microsoft. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my site contents. When I click on my site contents, I'm going to go into my Power View, or Power BI. Go into Power BI, and now it's going to take you to your dashboard for the Power BI. It's going to download all your document libraries. I have so it's showing me my featured reports, showing me some dashboards that I have here. I don't have any data connections, but I can go add or drag my data connections here. If I click add a data connection, I would either upload my file. You can also create folders for your data connections here in Power BI, which is good because that way you can organize it. But basically, this is your interface into your document libraries into SharePoint. So I scroll down here. Here's my documents. So if I hover over my document, it's telling me I haven't enabled this report in Power BI for Office yet. So it's pulling my documents in my document library, but I want to enable it for Power BI. So I click on the ellipse, and now I have the option to enable it. So I'm going to click Enable, and then it's going to tell me it's going to create an active review of my report. It's going to say working on it. My data model is too large. So I'm showing you what can happen in Office 365, right? So that's not a good example. Let me use my wingtip sales model one. What's interesting enough is when you launch the Power BI, you said try it now, and you'll get another little option to create sample data. And that is the sample data that got loaded. What I find interesting is the sample data that got loaded has a data model that's too large. Go figure. So now this is using Power BI. Let's try my other one here. And like I said, I was fully working on this really cool Yammer demo, and I apologize. There's so many roadblocks you have to get through before you can get to your final destination. Introducing Power BI Dashboards Preview. If I click Try It Now, really? This is common. Hate to say it. There is a Power BI app. Of course, this is in preview. Really? Start. It's working on it again. You have to have a lot of patience. Yes. So while we're waiting for that to load, let me get back to here. So let me go ahead and try the food inspection and enable that one, see if it'll let me load it. Let's try this one. And this is going to open. I know these two files I have, though, the data models aren't too large. So I'm thinking there might be an issue because keep in mind, right, it's Office 365. One thing can work one day and not work the next day, right? Okay, here we go. So here's a preview here. Here's a dashboard. Here's reports, data sets. So here I've got, I can modify this stuff, so it's got the sales, and I click on it. Now, this stuff is pretty cool, I think. Let's click on top stores. When I click on top stores, now it's taking me to my preview here. I can't go back. So let's go back. So you're going to find a little bit of clunky things, right? 1 minute I can actually navigate through, the next minute I'm having to click back on the browser button. Fortunately, it's something you're going to have to get used to, or the next day you might actually have some links. Like I said, this is in development. Let's go ahead and click on sales. That was sales per square footage, right? Square foot total. Now, this is cool stuff, I think. It's not stuff that you can build. This is where I see advantages of using Power BI. Now, I got to ask the guys back there, Power BI, is there, the things you can do in on-prem is Power Query, right? Is there never, I know that Microsoft's shifting things to kind of push more cloud-based stuff. Do you know if Power BI will ever become an option in on-prem implementations? Or, say what? Okay. Okay. So you see, you can have this nice interaction here with, and I can go edit the report, and when I click edit report, here's my actual report. So you can create each one of your reports and then have it interact. So you're building this nice dashboard. Now these are things you can mimic on-prem, so to speak, where you're building your dashboard pages, and then you're building your different navigational elements for the dashboard pages. But the cool thing about Power BI is a lot of this, you just build certain reports, it's going to build all the different connections for you, right? Are you thinking about something, Ben? Okay. So, and the awesome thing about it is being able to interact and update your reports and dashboards all through the browser, being able to change your options here, because like I said, in the older version of SharePoint with BI, if you wanted to modify your reports and change the fields, you had to do it through Excel. You couldn't do it through the browser. Let me go back. Then if you want to create a new data set, if I click on data set, here's where I can connect to other different workbooks, my designer file. I can connect to SAS. You got your Google Analytics. Anybody use Salesforce? Okay, neither do I. Interesting, I never thought I'd actually see a link for Google Analytics in a Microsoft product, right? So click on Google Analytics, it's going to allow you to connect. So there's a lot of plug and play options here that you can connect to. So you see if I want to go back, it's kind of clunky here, right? Now I'm trying to go back. I want to get back to my actual site or to my Power BI. So I was in the app. Let's go back again, back again, back again. See, this is the part that's annoying. So I'm going to have to go back to the URL of my site, right? So there's not nice ways to actually get back to your BI center. There's not nice ways to get back to my actual, I'm in the app of the Power BI. So let's go back onto here.
So is there a way to put a specific chart on a normal SharePoint page?
Say what again?
Is there a way to put a specific chart or whatever table on a SharePoint page without going to this interface?
I believe, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this. There either is or is going to be an app, from what I saw. Am I allowed to say this, Ben? Yeah, okay. It's too late now. It might be recorded, there is going to be an app. There either is an app, I don't think the app is released yet, but there's going to be an app, so that way you can just add the app and then be able to embed stuff. Because I know that would be a big request. It would be for me as well. So, because keep in mind, it's still public preview, right? But that way you can actually connect. Look at that, Power BI for iOS. It's pretty cool. So I want to get back, though, to my, let's go back to here. I'm waiting for it to go back. Okay, so let me go back to my so clunky and how I had to. If I was smart, I would have had this saved here. Let's just put it right there. Okay. So let's go see if there's an app we can add. So I'm going to go add an app. And let's go to SharePoint Store. Okay, so, well, no, that would be different. So we have, let me click on it and try it anyways. See, we already have Power BI. We already have it as an option here. But then I have this Power BI app here. Yeah, it's not, this wouldn't be the same thing. But there's going to be something. Or you can use, I think right now a lot of stuff has to be done through the API, where you might do the REST API. Let's create or delete document libraries and lists. Do you trust Power BI? Yes. Okay, I'm not going to mess up my tenant. Go back. Yeah, so you have limitations right now. And like I said, guys, I'm so used to on-prem. I'm shifting to Office 365, or to the business intelligence stuff in Office 365. So until I'm more comfortable with it too, I mean, until all of us are, right, you know, there's things that are going to be clunky, and since it's beta or public preview, there's going to be a lot of improvements. And I am nowhere close to being comfortable with it yet, obviously, right? Just because, like I said, I'm so used to on-prem. But I'm excited with the implementation and integration that things are being done to being able to pull the different, you know, just being able to, I think, be more empowered and have a lot more flexibility on what you can do. And, of course, Microsoft is addressing, they want everybody to be able to pull information from different sources. So, you know, when a lot of this stuff was launched before, it was really hard to get data in from, you know, external sources. So, you know, Microsoft wants more and more people, they want everybody to be on Office 365. And in order to really get customers to push that way, they're going to have to integrate more and more features that are going to make things a lot easier. So I do like the Power View stuff. And let me go back to my site. And when I go back to the site, if I wanted to create, let's go, there's my documents, the dashboards. So if I click to add a new dashboard, now, of course that's uploading a file. Let's go to this dashboard here. So this is the birth trends forecast. This was one of the sample data. And this is rendering through the browser. So, and you have all the filters and different things. Like I said, all this stuff is built, available now in Office 365. Now let me go back to the HTML5. What I haven't tested, it seems to me that the HTML5 loads quicker than the Silverlight stuff. That pop-up's annoying right here, though. There we go. Let's go back. And you don't get any breadcrumbs here, and that's, I mean, you know, I'm having to go back. So there are some annoying things, or I would like it maybe to open up in a new window for the user. Oops, let's go back here. So let me go back to my BI Center site. Go to my site contents, and I'm going to upload, go into my dashboards. So you see, this is my dashboards, but when I go into Power BI, I actually have that whole interface, you know, with like the carousel and things like that. But it's actually tied into my document library. Thank you. It's pulling my document libraries. So like I said, Power BI is this interface between your document libraries to leverage the BI features. And then if I was on-prem, I would just, you know, I'd have the different dashboard options in there. And I wouldn't have the Power BI options. Let me go back here to the home page of the site. See, it is different. So I've got share the dashboard. So your we'll go back to my dashboards library here. I'm going to go upload my wingtip sales. I do like this option here. You don't have this on-prem. If you click on new, you've got the different content types there. And then if you click upload, that is only Office 365. So I'm uploading my wingtip sales model file into into the dashboards library here. That's an actual document. Okay, so I clicked on it, and it just opens up like it does on-prem with Excel services. Now I'm going to go back to my Power BI. And when I click back to the Power BI, if I go to my dashboards, now I have my wingtip sales model here as an option, but it's not enabled. So what happens is, even though, like I told you, you have the stuff in the library, but it was not automatically enabled for the Power BI. So I'm going to go ahead and enable this. We'll see if we get an error on this one. So I want to enable it as dashboard. Open report. I'm going to hit close. So I'm not really getting anything special out of this, right? Because I would have to build the... Okay, let's go to this one. It's clunky. Go back to HTML5. If I go back to HTML5, this should load a lot quicker. So going back to my tennis, let's go back to the Power View. So in this Power View, I have it where I select each of the, I already showed you guys that. I'm sorry. I'm thrown off because my Power BI demo didn't go as smooth as I wanted it to. Let's go back. Who has Power BI licenses already? Okay.
Christina, what is the implication on licensing for Power BI? It's obviously user subscriptions. Is it related to the kind of enterprise licensing that Office 365 is
Yeah, and it is included as an or you add it on as an addition, and the price has gone down. And I'm in the admin center now. So this is the admin Power BI admin center, and here's where I can also go and work with my data sources. Oops. So this was working when I was setting up a gateway. Here. Okay. So when you can get to that screen, right, there's where if you want to pull in your on-prem data, then you would go and build the gateway for that. And there's a lot of like WYSIWYG wizard settings, different information that tells you how to do it, gives you links to downloads of things you need to install and so forth. So they have made it pretty intuitive for the setup. Now I can't get to it obviously because, oops, something went wrong. So I'm having problems with my admin center, and of course, yeah. That's where I was. Oh, hold on. Let's go back to Office 365. Oh, you want me to get to... Yep. This is where I have the... So I'm going to go back one. Yeah, it's 4 o'clock, so we're done. But here, I'm going to let me try the admin from here. And it's probably going to error out as well. No. There we go. Nope, it did. So that's what it is. Thank you. Thank you, guys.